What is up, YouTubeverse? Clayton here today with a new review. So, things have come around to a certain point there, and the last review I did was on the Super Nintendo versus that knockoff Genesis console. Well, this time, thanks to a little help from Taylor anyways, as he left it here to, just because we're going to do some more recording today, I'm going to review the NES Classic, and more to the point, we're going to compare it to the SNES Classic. This time we're comparing the two fucking... I can't speak right now. Perfect time to record a video, Clayton. The two actual branded classic devices. So I'm going to do this one quickly first, just to refresh our memory on it, so we know it is. I'm looking over here, the camera's here, I don't know why. So yeah, anyways, to refresh here, we have the basic thing, like, not surprised, and nobody's surprised at, it looks like a tiny Super Nintendo. Buttons there, reset takes you back to menu, power is power, that kind of stuff is obvious. This one has the handy little thing here that there we go, take that out. Making it so you can actually do the controllers. And, yeah, I mean, it's basic. Like I said, I don't want to really go into it too much on this one because, again, I've gone over it before. But just for the sake of comparison, we'll go there. It's got power. It's got the HDMI. You'd think I just woke up or something. I've been awake for hours. That's what happens when you make a video on the fly. Anyway, so going from that, let's have a look at the NES. It looks like a tiny NES. In fact, I believe it's actually... is it smaller? I don't know what that was. What are you talking about, Clayton? There's nothing happening here. Anyways, so... has a place for two controllers. Just like this one here. This one's not hidden. But then again, it wasn't hidden on the original one either. This is more of a stylistic choice because the original ones look like this. So they're like, oh, look, this is what it looks like now. And then, boom, new controller slots. But over here, they just say straight out, controller slots, boom, right there. You got the itty-bitty little buttons. You got the start, you got the reset. And in this case, the reset again, like with the Super Nintendo, takes you back to the menu to choose a different game and such like that. Power's power. The back, it takes the exact same power cord from the looks of it that the Super Nintendo one does, and of course an HDMI. It is a good solid little machine, like it's a solid hard body. Like the thing for these two is that they do not have the functionality that Genesis one does on being able to play the old cartridges. First off, because they're smaller. They are too small to do it themselves. They are meant to be little replicas that look like this. But I mean, there's tons of third-party ones out there that if you can't find a proper Super Nintendo, and nobody's blaming you on that, the things are probably getting pretty rare at this point and extremely expensive, that just go out and get, I think there's some like a Retro Duo, I think is one of them, is what one of them is called. I'll put a picture of it up there just so you know. And there's lots more too. So the fact is that they don't have the utility purpose of being able to play the old games, but they come with a good selection of games on their own. Now, I don't have the box for the NES Classic, so I can't go over the games it has, but I believe it has actually a little less than the Super Nintendo. So we'll go on from there into the controllers. Oh god. Cord was under the thing. Once again, Super Nintendo controller. This is what's considered one of the most quintessentially perfect controllers by so many people. And for good reason. I mean, you got the perfect setup of buttons. You have, like, the first instance of shoulder buttons. You got the start select. You got the triggers. Not triggers. The D-pad. What am I talking about? But this had to come from somewhere. There was one before this. And that was the NES controller. Now, thinking about it, I've actually done a review on all the NES controllers and such like that, too, so maybe I shouldn't get too deeply into this. Oh, maybe we'll just cover it over again. This is the NES controller. Nothing has changed, because this is meant for nostalgia. And so, it would ruin nostalgia if the bloody thing was different. But this is where the Super Nintendo evolved from. All you had was D-pad, start, select, start, select, and the buttons, B and A. It's a brick. These things were not comfortable to hold on to for long hours of gaming, but maybe that was part of the point was to keep you from sitting there and gaming for hours on end without a break. I mean, you know, just because I do that doesn't mean I don't support the fact that maybe we should take a break every now and then. Use the bathroom, eat some food, get a drink. Now, my biggest problem with the controller here is, like, if we look at the Super Nintendo one, we have a cord that just goes on and on and on and on. And, well, maybe not the longest cord in the history of gaming controllers. It's a fair cord. Although I do remember complaining about it when I first started using it. But it does not come back to... It is not as big of a problem as this. We have cord. And cord. And cord. I could probably fit the entire cord on... Yep, right there. Look at that. This thing is short. And even if you buy... Oh, I should also mention, though, this thing doesn't even come with a second controller like the Super Nintendo one does. It comes with one. What the hell, Nintendo? I love you guys, but, like, what was your thought? Was your thought really, literally that, you know, it prints money? Is that what it was? It prints money? So, of course, it's okay to sell the second controller. You want a second controller to play with your friends? Fuck you. You're going to buy a second one. A little incensed about this. Anyways. Otherwise, it works like a charm. It works fine like that. But it does that. The biggest bother for me is, like, they outright sell this with a second controller. Because, well, I mean, there's more. So there might be a point to be made. There's more two-player games on the Super Nintendo. But there's a fair little amount of two-player games on the NES. And the fact is that isn't... If there's two-player games on it at all, that does not excuse having only one controller. That was done literally just to make more money. I mean, I shouldn't complain too loud on this, besides the fact that because these things are nostalgia. They're all about made to make money off of nostalgia, and that's what this is. I fell for it. Taylor fell for it. Like, the fact of the matter is that it's monetized nostalgia, and we'll fall right into it, and I will do it every time, gladly. It doesn't mean I'll have to do it happily. So honestly, like the NES Classic, I've played it. It's fun. If I can get it to work with my recording device, we're having problems with it where the sound wasn't working on it, and if we can get that working, we might record some stuff for it. But until then, all I can say honestly is that this is kind of unacceptable. And the fact it didn't come with a second controller right off the bat. Luckily we were able to buy one, but we shouldn't have had to. Overall, is it a horrible console? God, no. It's nostalgia. I like it. This was my first console. Okay, this was not my first console, but the NES was my first console. This is my childhood right here. So, I love this thing. I kind of find it funny that I don't know if it's due to living in Taylor's house or not. I don't think his family are smokers, but it almost feels like there's a bit of the yellowing that happens on these things over time. But no, this is my childhood, and I do love it. It's well done. Just like with this one here, it's well done. Problems, but yes, it's worth the money, and if you can find it, that's the big question, if you can find it. As of this video coming out, they've already re-released the NES Classic, so there could still be more out there, people, so you never know. Alright, so that about covers it. It's mostly just me ranting about stuff. I didn't really want to go too much into this one, because I already have, and the controllers, again, I have already done so, too. Because literally, these are just carbon copies, 100% carbon copy of the original controllers. Like, perfect. In fact, this one might actually be better than my original NES controller. Mostly just because it's new. Not hours of use and button mashing. So, hope you enjoyed this. It was kind of I know it sounds a bit odd, like all the wording and everything like that. It was literally done impromptu. I did no thinking on this. I was just like immediately, hey, I should do that. It's here right now, so I might as well do it. So, hope you enjoyed it. Honestly, go out and get one. If you can find one, I think, honestly, you'd enjoy most people would enjoy it. I'll say you right there. You'll enjoy it. You behind them, maybe not so much. Okay. I'm gonna stop being insane. Until next time, YouTubers, be good to each other, and enjoy nostalgia. Bye.